It's the second half of Norway Chess 2026. Wesley versus praggnanandhaa, and Wesley starts the game with d4, and soon we see Semislav on the board. Now, here queen c2, bishop d3 are the main move, but Wesley goes for bishop e2, which is a positional system, and some natural developing moves happen, and Pragg goes f5, making a stone wall pawn structure, fortifying e4 square, and his intentions are clear. He wants to go g5 and queen f6, queen h6. He wants a fighting game, and slowly we should see that Wesley makes precautions on that. g3 blunts this bishop from coming to h2, and then we have some more moves. And what happens is that Wesley takes, and after that we have f3. So it's always good whenever you see a big pawn chain like that, you want to undermine that, and you want to do it by maybe attacking the head of it or the back of it. So this time we have the head of it, and after he takes f3. Now Indian says that this is a mistake, and his idea is that he wants to go knight f3 to go knight e5 and sacrifice the pawn like that. But it's understandable that no human will actually play like that. So that's why this question mark is something like after g4 there is knight e5, and then give away the pawn like this and give another pawn after bishop takes e5 takes and knight takes, rook f8, king takes, and but nobody plays like that. So that's why we have rook takes f3, and after rook takes f3 g4 comes and bishop takes g4. Now you could take up here, but Pragg first goes knight f6, improving the knight at the same time defending e6, and once the bishop goes back he takes on e6, and then we have e5. It's a very thematical break in Semislav, and once black achieves that, he is doing more than fine, and black has successfully equalized this game as well. So a bunch of trade happens, and then putting the rook on the OpenC file and some more moves down the line, we see that both sides are just maneuvering and putting pieces at good squares and hoping for a mistake from other side. And we reach this very interesting position where right now a5 is hanging, and Wesley first attacks d3, and once you go that, he goes to take on a5. Now Pragg has lost one pawn, but he says I does not stop on that. He goes b5, give me another pawn. The idea is that once you take up here, now there are two weaknesses on b5 and b3, so he goes rook b8, and after that he just take on b5. Now it's an endgame, so both sides will try to bring their king towards the center. So we have center, both sides bringing king towards the center. And now rook g5 to attack the pawn on g3, then after rook g1, rook b5, maybe rook h5 is something, but it's not clear what you could do. Maybe rook b5 is something. This question mark is something that is more something I can explain. Injury, sometime injury, yeah. So we have this, that Wesley has brought his king from g1 to c3, where it will protect this d3 weakness, and at the same time he will make sure that d3 pawn is fairly controlled. So Wesley is making progress in this endgame. Now we have check, and the knight comes back, and rook a1, knight c6, knight e3, and some more moves. Now we see that knight e5 comes, and after rook f1, king e6. Now Wesley offers the trade with this knight c4, and Pragg had to decline that. Objectively the position is still difficult even in that case, but by trading of the knight he just made white life a lot easier. He just takes and takes, and now his goal is to trade of this c4 pawn for h7 pawn, and then he will have connected passer over here, and it will be winning, and he will try to win this d3 pawn later on. So king e5 comes, rook f3 attacking this pawn. Now it's not so simple as well, like you could still throw the game away by going queen rook d3, because after that rook c4 comes, and this is a draw, like 2-1 is a draw. So that's why you have to be careful. And Wesley finds rook f4, saying if you trade, this is obviously a winning endgame for me, and the declines of the rook trade. And after rook f3 we have rook f7, just converting it mercilessly, and we see that some more move down the line that Wesley just keeps on. And again, anything wins here. King takes d3 also wins because you cannot take the pawn after rook h4. It's close to Azur's one, like the rook cannot come to protect the h6 pawn with rook c6, because if you go rook c6, then after rook check, king comes up here, here, or here, like whatever. After this is going to be winning. So that's why you would have to go like this. After rook h4, go like this, then this is going to be winning as well. So, but in the game we have rook c4 and takes, and after g4, it was in this position that was desired, because this is a completely lost NDL. Like, even if you do not take, if you take this pawn, then rook c4 trades of the rook, and even if you do not take this pawn, like king c e5 comes, then the king comes up here, and you will soon push this pawn through. So from designs, and Wesley is the sole leader because Alireza has also lost to Magnus Carlsen. And if you want to check that game out, I will have the link in the description, and also it's showing up there. Do check it out. Thank you.